Well, we want to give a very warm welcome to Juho Kuosmanen because he's part of our Nordic Focus festival, and we're here at Riverside studio. That's where we're going to be anyway.
Yeah.
Really celebrating Finnish cinema, celebrating Nordic cinema in general, and you know, South Social Film Festival has a long history with Finnish cinema because we've been working and presenting and showcasing this wonderful cinema that you have. And actually, especially with you, we already presented the first film, Ollimaki, in I think it was 2016. 16?
Yeah, 16 or 17. Yeah,
oh,
that was the year when it was from.
Maybe afterwards, 17. And then this year again, basically you managed to win the Grand Prix in Cannes. I mean last year, and for Compartment number 6. And we're very happy for you. And I guess that it's just you know, as we were saying before, you know, it's just slowly but surely you're just getting there. You know, just you got your own style, you got your own way of telling and narrating stories. So, well, thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for invitation. Unfortunately, I can't be at your festival in person, but maybe next time.
Next time, yeah. Exactly, when you win the Oscar next time, right?
Yeah.
So, yes, so my first question, that it's really, I think it's important, you know, to the way you work and the way you just narrate is that you have a very simple way, straightforward way of telling stories, which is not the usual complicated, layered, and author way in which everything, you know, is just so difficult to understand. You've got this very straightforward narrative that it's very enticing at the same time. So why do you choose this way, this style?
I'll be working with the same DOP, JP Passi, and the same editor, Jussi Rautaniemi, for many years. Before these feature films, we've done some short films, and I think that's where we have kind of created this kind of a style. It's, I don't know, it's not really, glad you said style, because I don't even think it as a style. JP has a documentary background, and he's been shooting a lot of documentary films. And that's I think one reason we started to work together, that he has a good eye for authenticity, and which I also appreciate a lot. And I think when we are shooting the film, one kind of a guiding idea is that you just have to support the story. You have to create that film, but you don't. What you don't have to do, or what you shouldn't do, is to make your own ego visible. And I think this is why film is like feels that it doesn't really have a strong style. It's not kind of a showing off your own skills, which I think it's extremely important, because when you are, I would like people to see the film and the characters, but at the same time I don't want them to think about the direction or the cinematography or the acting, the talent of acting, or those things. Yeah. Too stylistic.
No, sure, but if we use the word style in that sense, that, you know, it's overdone, over the top. No, but, you know, I think it's a style because it's very naturalistic.
Yeah,
that's
in the end it becomes a style, but I think it's kind of in a way it is made as kind of avoiding a kind of too strong. Yeah, style is a bit word, but I think the ego is a good thing. It's like, watch the film don't watch us make like what we've done.
Sure, yeah, that's great. No, absolutely. No, I agree because it's very. The other thing, the film is very realistic. I mean, when you see the two people, you know, the guy, you know, Log, and and the girl that they meet, and you know, there's of course there's an immediate contrast, you know, between them. You know, one seems to be very intellectual, the other one seems to be like a worker, you know, a miner, somebody that has no clue about, you know, what books are, for example.
Yeah.
And but at the same time, everything, it's very realistic. I mean, everything they do is something that could have happened in real life. So it's not, there's not like that kind of, you know, romance, that kind of novelization of the film. You know, it's just, and this is, I think, it's a virtue. I mean, it's a quality.
Yeah, I think so too. It's.
How do you manage to get to that?
First of all, we are writing a lot. We are writing a very long time, and when the story is ready, we know what happens and the way the scene should be. I think the fine tuning is also you have to get rid of those elements that feel fake, that feel like too written, to build, or and that's also a moment when I'm already working with actors, so we are reading the text and I'm asking if there are moments that feels artificial, like, or they don't understand why they are acting this way, or the character is behaving a certain way. We talk about it so that it becomes understandable, and I think this process naturally also takes away these kind of artificial elements, or to kind of written.
So do you work a lot with the actors before, like you do a pre-reading and or you shoot the same scene many times? You know, how do you work with them?
Before shootings, we talk a lot, and we read the script. We go through scene by scene, and usually when you have selected, when you've done the casting, you already know and trust that they know how to do these characters. So we are talking about the characters a bit, but rehearsing, it's not at all like trying to teach how they should act. I think it's more about building the common understanding of the whole film itself, but also common understanding of these characters. And in the end, I think that the characters are born somewhere between the director and the actor, and obviously in the script as well. But it's I think in order to play something very organically or naturalistic way, I think that you need to really profoundly understand the character. Then it's also it's easy to start that. Not necessarily easy, but it's possible to act all these kind of small nuances, not to overdo them.
Sure.
So
it's really like a collective effort that you do, working with the actors and with your team.
Yeah, yeah. We try to work with a small team, and then when the team is small, there's also more. Usually, there's more time and more space for talks, also during the shootings. Yeah, I think the crucial point in this film was also to first of all, find the right actors.
Yeah.
With the wrong casting, it will be so difficult.
And I think you did perfectly well, because I mean, she's definitely a very unusual character. I mean, she's not like the most beautiful diva in the world. You know, she's just a very a real person, a person that you can meet in the street, a person that you can bump to and say hi, or exchange a few words. So in that sense, she really blends in with with the story.
Yeah.
And instead his is like, you know, it's, of course it's more like aggressive, violent, but at the same time you can see that there's something behind that, you know, attract the two. And also the fact that you decided on to work on a human connection more than the love story, which is that's probably the most interesting part of the film. That, you know, even if they are attracted, because there's definitely something developing, a friendship, you know, a bond of some kind, but it's not, you know, just the usual predictable boy meets girl love story, etc. So why did you go into that direction?
Well, it's the story is based or inspired by a novel, and it was already there. But actually, in the novel, the female character is so much younger, and the guy is way much older. But we couldn't find the right kind of actors to play these parts. So actually, first thing that we did was because I wanted to work with Sadie, the Finnish actress, and she was already like 10 years older than the character in the novel. But I felt that it was good because it gave her a little bit more power, and she became a bit heavier character. And then we actually tried to avoid this kind of a boy meets girl thing, trying to cast the older Russian guy in to play this part, as it is in the novel. But it never really worked. There was always the power dynamics were wrong, and I think Sadie wasn't feeling comfortable, at least with those actors that we tried. But then when I saw Juho Kuosmanen playing in one film and wanted to meet him, so I think that was a kind of crucial moment, because I not just to find a good actor, but also to find a guy, very extremely nice person who can play kind of asshole also, but in the end he's a nice guy. And even more than that, the fact was that when I saw Sadie and Juho together in the same room, I felt that they are not lovers, they are like sister and brother. Yeah. More than anything else. And this is a really fine line. It was very hard to say why it felt like that. But when you feel like that, you can be sure that you can also convey that kind of a relationship to the audience. Before I met these two, before I saw these two actors, I was worried that it might be like too much a kind of a love story, or either it could be too much like a thriller story that we are worried about what would happen to her with this brutal guy. Yeah. So I felt that we had this kind of a black and white situations before doing the casting. But with this casting I felt like, okay, we can do this kind of a...
So you work really based on the real people, I mean the real actor that you had, and you made that decision, which is really interesting. So you didn't impose something, but you know, you just... once you did the casting, then...
Yeah, that's the moment where you actually start to see the film first time. I mean, you see it when you are writing it, but usually it changes so much. But I believe casting is a very crucial moment when.
Yeah. Well, another turning point in the film, I thought, was when they meet the foster mother, when they go, and because that's when really the two of them finally acknowledge each other. They understand who they are and what they're doing, etc. So that, how did you create that? How did you?
That was a funny process from the beginning till the end, because it was, obviously I wanted to have a real character, like non-professional person to play this character. When we were scouting, trying to find the places, our location scout was also going on in these small villages, and when he found a nice looking house, he went in to see if there's a character that we could have in our film. And then he found this Lydia Vasilievna, who was living in this house, and she agreed be in the
Fantastic,
film.
just like this.
Yeah.
So she wasn't a professional actress at all?
No. And then I met her like 2 or 3 times before shootings, and Jura, the guy who plays Joha, he visited her also once we were there together, and then Jura stayed there for a day to get to know her, and also to make her appearance in the film like easier for her. So and she told me great stories that I actually wanted to have in the film, and I felt that we don't have to use the lines that are written in the script, because when she's not a professional actor it might be too hard. So, but luckily she had great stories, so I just told her she can tell them. And but when
so she actually told her own story.
Yeah, it's her own thoughts and ideas that she's telling there. But she had this very kind of funny but brutal story about her cat, and the way the cat ended up living in the same house with her. And I wanted her to ask her if she could tell that again. But she said that I already told you the story, like it's, why should I repeat it? So she refused to tell that when we were shooting, but yeah, she's a very amazing figure, so it was nice. And it was, after all, that scene is more about them, like you said, these two, our main characters, finding this trust. And so it was more, the scene is more based on a feeling rather than information that she is telling. So
yeah, I was thinking about the era that you decided to portray. So it's the 90s, but seen from a Russian point of view. So they look a bit more like the 80s, right?
Yeah, actually the original novel it takes place in 80s, but it also deals so much more about Soviet Union itself. But in our film we wanted to focus on these two characters, and so when we had the script was already done, the nation where it was happening, it didn't matter that much. And when we started to find the locations for this film, we realized that actually it would be so much easier, we would get so much more benefit out of the still existing locations if we would set in late 90s rather than 80s. It was kind of a practical reason, but I also felt when we made the decision that it's actually so much better, because if it would have happened in Soviet Union, this kind of idea of Soviet Union would have always been there.
Yes.
And well, Russia is also a very peculiar country, so even changing it into the late 90s, it still happens in a weird premise, but we felt that it's a little bit less than the kind of Soviet reality. And now after these terrible things that Russia is responsible, or Putin is responsible, and his regime in Ukraine, I think because that this film actually happens in '98, because it was still the year when we had hope.
Yes.
But in Putin's Russia, this film could not happen. Before this year, I always said that somewhere in the late 90s, maybe around millennium. But now I'm like, no, this film is not happening in Putin's regime.
No, and also the fact that they're not cell phones. So I mean, it's not centered about being connected all the time. I mean, these two people actually can live their own life without being always, checking or having internet or having basically, not paying attention to each other, because that's what probably people would do now in a compartment.
Yeah.
Traveling.
Yeah, that was also a reason to still have it in the period where you didn't have the social media. You couldn't, when you are traveling, you couldn't escape for your own kind of digital environment. But so, and you needed more. You were more dependent on the other people as well and their help, because now you can Google everything and you know where to go. You have a map, and everything is.
That's true. Which it's also very sad, right? Because
it is. It is sad in a moment, in a sense that when you are traveling, there's you are losing all these kind of weird encounters when you go to ask some help, and then you end up possibly to have a dinner with somebody's house, and all those things that could happen. So I think the idea, the whole essence of traveling is, I think it's changed. Yeah.
We definitely lost a good chunk of spontaneity and just being there in the moment.
Yeah, it was more kind of an adventure.
Yeah. So and then there's also a sentence in the film that it's easier to understand the present if you study the past.
Well, I think it's at the same time it's kind of a cliche, and it's I would say it's maybe more than a cliche. I feel that it's kind of a generic idea. And the way it's used in this film, obviously, it has something to do with the content as well. But I think the kind of the bigger purpose of this sentence in the film is that she hears it in this environment where she would like to belong. She would like to be one of these kind of intellectuals, and speaking the way they are speaking. You know, to have read the books they read, and when she goes to this journey and he meets this guy, this annoying small boy, he tries to behave, she tries to act like one of the intellectuals, and that's why she's referring this is quoting this guy with the same sentence, and I think it's a sentence that, it makes sense. I think it's we should know the past, and we should know our where we come from. It's easier to understand, but at the same time, it's not really a deep thought. It's kind of generic.
But it started the adventure though, because she started the adventure because of that. Saying, oh, let's go and and explore the region and see what the Murmansk hieroglyph or petroglyphs.
Yeah, and it's also the whole. I think this film, I would still say it's changing somehow from day to day, but I would still say that the core of this film is acceptance, and this idea of acceptance is also related to this sentence in a way that in the beginning she has difficulties to accept where she's from, that she's not from high society, or she's not from academic family, or she's not from Moscow, maybe she's from some small village in Finland.
That's and another very poignant scene, very strong, at the end when they really, all the workers, the miners, they really try to help her. I thought that was beautiful, because it reminded me a bit of Rossellini, or the 50s, in which people, they were just plain workers, very simple people. They did not understand why she wanted to go there, but they helped her anyway. So it's like, it's like I say, because she's a friend, because she's a person that they care about. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And this is, I really like these kind of people who help, even though they don't really like to do it. And I think that's a thing. That's like it feels so much. I remember one guy once returned my wallet that I dropped on the street, and he had difficulties to get into my corridor where I was living, to ring a bell.
Okay.
So he had to wait on the street that somebody opens the gate door, and then trying to find where is my door, and all these things. And he was super annoyed when he gave my wallet back. And I was like, oh, thank you. And I was like, you don't know what I had to do. Like, it took me and he was just like really annoyed, but he still did it.
Yeah.
And I said like, okay, this is a nice thing. Kind of
because they're a bit smug, you know, they're a bit like biased, you know. They said, oh, why would you do it? But then they do it anyway.
Yeah, they are Fisher. They would like to go home to have a rest, and then somebody asks, could you take me for a boat ride? So they are not happy about it, but they still do it because I think that's the way we are human beings. That's the way we should treat other human beings.
Yeah, and that's what I see all through your films. You know, all the people that you portray, either the protagonists or just the people around them. You know, they're all human beings, and you know, it just comes out so strongly.
Yeah. And
it's very vivid.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's the opposite of banality of evil. This kind of banality of good acts.
Yeah. No, your film are always uplifting, one way or the other. You know, it's just you can see there's something. There's like the characters are illuminated in a way. You know, like they come out very strongly, and this is something that it's just makes you know, when you go out after watching your film and you just feel like, you know, you just feel up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's. Thank you for saying that because I think that's, well, I wouldn't say that's what fiction films should do, but I think in my case that's what I would like them to do because I believe the fiction film, the beauty of fiction is that you have a point of view that you can choose. You can think that life is a bit more beautiful than it is. It doesn't have to be like straight escapism in a way, but still, if you can choose whether you give hope or desperation, I would rather give hope.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
it
really
might not
good.
be true, but still.
Yeah,
it's a possibility.
But you know, it's like as we say, you know, can you see the half glass?
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
Well, well, these are empty already. So
Yeah.
maybe there's no hope.
Before leaving you, we'd like to know what's your next project, or whatever you can say about it.
Well, now I'm doing a few episodes of TV, a British American TV thing, and then I am developing a feature film in Finland. It will take a while, but I hope not 5 years.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll be quicker this time.
Yeah, I hope
Maybe
so.
a little less than 5, 4, 3.
Yeah, I can't wait, but at the same time, I still can't help myself being so slow.
It's okay. It's part of the deal, I guess. You know.
Yeah.
So you then you get, you know, this beautiful film out. So it's okay.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Yeah. At least that's what Cannes thinks about you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be here with you. And,
Thank you.
and of course, then you know, we can't do Q&A with the people, but at least I ask you all the main questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you
for showing this film.